If they wanted to buy it. Maybe something like maybe they want it for their maybe they want it for their coffee table.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice
It's going to
thing.
be really special.
Shabbat Shalom. Oh, we're going to try that again. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, I love it. I decided tonight I would begin with a poem by Rumi. And this is the one that was marked in my book. What a wonderful way to come in. It was a little bit rainy and dreary today. Nothing like Rumi to really pick up our spirits. Rise, O lovers, let's all ascend to the sky. We have seen this earth, let's see the other one. No, both gardens are beautiful and nice, but let's give up both of them and go to the gardener. We run toward the sea by prostrating like the torrent. Once we merge with the sea, we walk and run, clapping our hands like foam over the sea. To go on a journey from the world of grief to the world of weddings and joy, we leave this pale face that's like saffron and get a pink one like the purple Judah tree. We'll arrive at the land of mercy by trembling like a leaf from fear of falling. We are in a foreign land. There is no way to stay away from trouble. We are on the journey of the country of soil, impossible to be free from dust. We will fly, fluttering our beautiful wings like green parrots. We have become the land of sugar. We'll go to the square of sugar. I love how there's a tree of Judah. I don't think it's like Judaism, but how wonderful. So welcome, everyone. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We'll breathe in everything we want to hold on to and let go of everything we want to let go of. How blessed we are to be together. I have my twin flags that, well, one of them just came apart, but we have the Israeli flag and the Ukrainian flag. And it was not the picture we'd normally have together, but I think now we can see the way the countries work together and support one another. And the Israeli flag for our 75th anniversary of Israel coming up in just a couple of weeks, around May 14th or so. I'm going to invite Bruce Corris over here to welcome officially. Oh. No, we're not welcoming. I forgot. I told him no more welcoming.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So I was thinking during the week about what Rabbi Alex said last week, that we shouldn't say welcome, because welcome implies that you're guests, that you're visitors. And while we always do have some guests with us on a Friday night, they're as welcome as if they were members of our congregation. So I came up with something else. This is going to be my new thing. Because what do you say when a member of your family comes home after they've been gone for a day or two, or even they were at work that day, they got home from time for dinner? What do you say? Welcome home. So this is our spiritual home. And so from now on, that's going to be my Friday night greeting. Shabbat Shalom, welcome home. That's going to be it. And I was thinking about that for a couple of reasons. One, what the rabbi said got me thinking. And then Saturday night at our party, Charlene told me something really, really neat, which is that someone she knows who is a member of the Jewish community in town, but not a member of our temple, described us this way. Congregation Shir Shalom is the heart of the Jewish community of Western New York. And I said, that's it. That's exactly what we are, and that's what we strive to be. And in all my 3 years as president, when the words warm and welcoming came out of my mouth every Friday night, that's the one thing I couldn't think of. How could I describe us that really captures what we are and what we want to be? And that's it. That made me feel so good when she told me that. The heart of the Jewish community of Western New York. So we're not just the cool shul, we're the special shul. That's really important. Anyway, so We have a wonderful service planned for you tonight. We have a special guest speaking about a very important topic, and I'm looking forward to hearing that. And I'll be back later with the announcements. We have a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. We have a holiday coming up next week as well. Passover. So, Shabbat Shalom and welcome home. What do you think?
I love it. I was going to say the Hebrew, Bruchim Abayim, would work too. But wonderful. Welcome home. I love it, love it. And Bruce reminded me that tonight, in addition to our beautiful service, it is the debut of Devin Levi. See, I butchered the name. That is the new goaltender of the Buffalo Sabres. And he's from Montreal, and not only is he Jewish, he is very central in the Jewish community. So, of course, they had him start on Shabbat. He's like Sandy Koufax out there. All right, we are ready to welcome in Shabbat, and we're so grateful to have Cantor back. She still is a little bit under the weather, but we're going to help her with our spirits. And my Yafe Hayom on 128, and thank you, Nick, as well. This is around, so please join in.
Please sing loud. My Shabbat Shalom. My Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
So I think it was about last week when I got a wonderful email from a beloved couple here at our synagogue that they got engaged. And this is a very special couple because they found their love here at Shir Shalom. At one of our summer services, they were set off by Judy Bardak. And I'd like to invite up Shauna and John to come light our candles. And we're so excited to have you. Candle lighting is on page 120 in the prayer book. Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu adlikner shel Shabbat. If you want to lift up the Kiddush cup there, and we'll say the Kiddush. Page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit ki hu yom techila Lemikra Kodesh Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Vacharta Viotanu Mikadashta V'shabbat kodshecha v'yava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim, to life. It's special to say Kiddush for someone who's about to sanctify their wedding, because we have Kiddushin, which is the ceremony of getting married. So it's connected. And next week we will. So Mazel Tov to Shauna and John. We wish you many, many, many years of happiness here at Congregation Shir Shalom. We are going to welcome Shabbat with L'chadodi, page 138. We're going to sing the first verse and the last verse. On the last verse, we rise and we face the doorway. We bow to the Shabbat bride as she enters, and then we welcome each other here by waving.
L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamu v'zachor b'diborecha b'shmiyanu el hamyocha Adonai echad u'shemo Shemo tiferet v'lichila L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ala dam simcha Sohla takemuni amsikula
Boi kala. We welcome one another. We remain standing for our call of community, page 146. This is the moment we look around and we say, all of us, each one of us is important for making community. Baruch et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed. On the bottom of 147, let's read together. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthest most star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Or let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. And we'll turn to the Shema, page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. What do we read in English on 155? Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. This past week, Reverend Hennessy and I had a discussion about love, well, loving your neighbor. And in the Christian world, Jesus had paired loving your neighbor with the first verse here, love your God with every heartbeat, with your soul, with all your might. And one of the questions we had, well, what does it mean to love? And we actually get an idea of what love is from the list here. Love is how we care for one another, being there for one another, taking care to do the actions that make a difference in one another's life. The love, the eros, as they say in Greeks, is not the love that is described here. This is the love of how communities are formed, how friendships are formed, how we love each other in the world. And one of the beautiful things that happened at the end of our class, and we had a class with some 20 people, is I turned to Reverend Hennessy and I said, Bill, I love you. And then he turned to me and he said, yes, Alex, I love you too. Yeah. So as we think about love, it's really about that feeling we get. And we should say that to the people that we care about in this world. Even if we're not romantically involved, we should show them that they matter to us in this world. Let's continue on page 159 and join with me in the English. This is especially important tonight. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. I invite you to rise for our silent Amida on page 164, and we'll continue quietly through page 170. Take time to read the Hebrew, English, or just your private prayers, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
shalom bimroma. Shalom aleinu, Yaakov Israel, v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Yaakov Israel, Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael.
We're going to take an opportunity now for our healing prayers. The prayer is on page 371, the Mishaberach. I'm going to read our list here. Oops, sorry. Sorry, flag. And afterwards, if you have other names you'd like to offer, please feel free to just raise your hands. We are thinking about as a community Margie Abelson, Richard Zybak, Jim Bukowski, Paula Charvella, Dennis Epstein, Murray Edinger, Carol Fisher, Sue Frank, Dr. Ellen Frankie, Ida Frost, Maureen Furlong, Freda Goodstein, Esther Green, Karen and Gary Greenfield, Carolyn and Ernest Grosser, Heather Houston, Charlotte Krebs, Ruth Lansing, Miles Levy, Savannah Lucas, Rick Mahler, Megan McEvoy, Jill Shire Monahan, Aidan Raccoon, Karen Rosenfeld, Cheryl Rossi, Brandon Ryan, Andrew Shaw, Gertrude Sloan, Alan Strauss, Jill Tirabassi, Robin Weinstein, Mike Wheeler, Riochevet Bat Esther, Miriam Bat Razel, Avraham Bat Rivka, Chana Ezra Ben Shul, Reuven Ben Morris, and April had also asked us for her prayers, so please send them to her as well. We'll go around if you have other names.
Nicholas Tepper, Marcia Tepper, and Bryce Host. Ruth Spivak, Lisa Starfeld, Maya Bell. Vicky Blade and Kim McNeese. Alex Bowman. Mark Meisinger and Robert Moses.
Mark Polikoff. Milton Cameron. Papa Kite. Barbara Lobovsky.
Eugene Collison.
We'll bring all those names into our hearts on page 371, and please join the cantor in the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotinu, Mekor Hambracha Limotenu. Be the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage
complete healing of body and soul. May our prayers go out to where's needed. May all of us find strength in one another. So I always think that poems are not things that I pick out. They're things that find me. So the book by Rumi found me tonight. So I'd like to read another poem by Rumi. This is verse 3009. Make sure that nobody in this world will remain without somebody. If you don't get along, someone else comes instead to that place. If I leave this house, if I vacate the house, either someone like me comes or someone worse than me. The world has been inherited for thousands of years. When the father goes under the ground, the son becomes the father. It is not only men, animals are the same. If it wasn't like that, you wouldn't see any living creature. At night, when the sun leaves the roof of the sky and stars and moon replace the sun, when a person quits one profession, one business, his nature will be occupied with another craft. Because an agent is appointed to everyone's heart, that agent won't leave them without work, business, provision, and expedition. See, even 1,000 years ago, it still applies today. So a little while ago, Sheila Bernard Tucker approached me with an idea that we should go to the Ukrainian Civic Center, and there was an excellent speaker there. If you know Sheila, she's been very active in the community in trying to help out with what's going on in Ukraine. She's someone with a big heart, and what happens across the world impacts her like many of us. It's hard to function in our regular lives when we know so many people are suffering across the ocean. So she made a contact with a wonderful individual that I met tonight, and we talked on the phone, which is Mark Houghton, and he brought his friend Yuri over here. And they're going to tell us a little bit about what they're doing and about the situation. I also want to mention that we have Judge Lisa Rodwin and Michael, who are here because of their work with the Ukrainian community and Lisa's friendship with Michael, with Mark, sorry, as well. And we also have the Deshevsky family over there. They have Dmitry and Valya. We're so happy to have them as well. They will have an opportunity to share some perspectives or answer any questions that we have about their journey as well. So I'm going to invite Mark up first, if you'd like. Why don't we'll set you up right over here.
Thank you, Rabbi. I just want to thank Rabbi Alex and the congregation for having us here. I'm Mark Houghton. I am the Refugee Coordinator for the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America's Executive Board and the President of the Ukraine Welcome Foundation. We're fortunate tonight we have the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America President Yuri Hersishin with us tonight, and I'm going to defer to Yuri and let Yuri come up here and speak, please. I'd also say welcome to Judge Rodwin, the Ukrainian family, and my friend Dasha, who does a lot of work for the Jewish Family Services. Yuri?
Thank you, Mark. The Ukrainian lands for the first 1,000 years or so AD were populated by pagan tribes. In 988, so the short story goes, Knyaz, or Prince Volodymyr Veliky, told the Ukrainian, at that time the name Ukraine was not in use, it was Kiev and Rus. He told the citizens of Kiev, go bathe in the Dnipro River and become Christian. This was an evolution of his mother's resolve to maintain ties with, at that time, Greece, Constantinople. Greece was the entire land that's currently known as Turkey and Constantinople. Istanbul, I should say. So at that time, Constantinople. But indeed, the lands were inhabited by not only these new Christians, but Jews that had been displaced and settled on the north coast of the Black Sea, southern Ukraine now, and Muslims as well. The Turks that occupied Crimea, some others as well that emigrated from the west. Poles that settled the lands who were Roman Catholic. I myself grew up in the Ukrainian Catholic Church, Eastern Rite, but I understand the numerous influences that we've had among our various peoples that list Ukraine as their initial home. I was born here. My parents were displaced during the Second World War, found each other in New York City, came up to Buffalo, and raised a family. So that was a conflict then, and it was a great war, East-West. Germany tried to take over Europe. Russia had its own conquests over the course of that time to take territory in eastern Ukraine, then western Ukraine, then into Poland, Czechoslovakia, and even eastern Germany. And so the Soviet Empire was built. The Soviet Empire seems not to want to die, to use that term. Moscow continues to wish that it had control over the Ukrainian people, and indeed control over all of Europe. And so Ukraine gained its independence in '91 as the Soviet Union collapsed and other republics also broke away. And in the 30 years or so has become a democratic, prosperous civilization based on its old roots and the burgeoning economy and education and culture that's grown in the last 30 years. Moscow didn't like that. Moscow feels threatened. In 2014, after what was known as the Maidan Revolution, started in 13 actually, when a bunch of students protested then President Yanukovych's withdrawal from previously promised ties with the European Union, but rather after last-minute consultations with Moscow, chose to go east. Students protested, students got beat up. Moms and dads came out, said you can't do this to our kids. And from 100 people to 1,000 to 1 million showed up in Maidan, the main square of Kyiv. That got to the point that where Yanukovych was evicted from the country after much violence. Again, Moscow, the Kremlin, with their own resolve to continue to control Ukraine, came in militarily. In Donbass, the eastern border of Ukraine was violated. They dropped paratroopers into Crimea and essentially broke that off. Almost immediately, Ukraine was not prepared. Under Yanukovych, the military had been decimated. Patriots, volunteers held the line over the course of 8 years until last year, February 24th. The Russians came in full force, seeing that they weren't going to take Ukraine slowly. They decided they were going to invade with a column of tanks, headed to Kyiv. Most Western think tankers, to use a loose term, were saying this was going to end in 3 days and Kyiv would fall. Well, it didn't happen. Didn't happen, and Ukraine held the line, but at a tremendous cost. In the past year, several tens of thousands have died. There are millions displaced out of the country, predominantly women with children that initially headed to Poland, Moldova, and then farther west, Spain, Ireland, and eventually to our coast under the United for Ukraine program that was adopted here in Congress. So we've had a little over 100,000 displaced persons arrive here in the United States. A very small fraction of that so far in Buffalo. Our center that we established here almost immediately in March of last year has seen approximately 170 families that we've helped with initial emergency supplies, a little bit of cash, and then additional services. And many of those with the cooperation of Jewish Family Services, who were smart enough to take the initiative to get a federal grant to handle this issue. So we've been working closely with JFS to assist these families. Back in Ukraine, a couple of thousand kids have been kidnapped. They've been taken into Russia. We don't know if they'll ever come back. They're at a young, vulnerable age where they'll probably be molded into the enemy. Many of our volunteers are still dying, are still suffering. There are many that will not survive this next year. This war is not even close to ending. It's escalating now. It's beginning to escalate again as spring has sprung. There's talk of a counteroffensive by Ukraine to regain some land. It's going to be very difficult. On our end here, we continue to raise funds, to raise awareness, and hopefully to maintain the issue on the forefront with the United States government. In the U.S., we tend to forget very quickly, and as new problems arise. So we're working very hard to make sure that this is still on the minds of people who care. And we are here. Thank you for the invitation to speak. If Mark, you want to come back up and speak to particular families, perhaps, that we've worked with. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Basically, is what Yuri said. We've helped about 165 families, which is upwards of 400 people. We're helping them, as we told you, with cash assistance and all kinds of help, filling out paperwork, filling out forms. It's complex. It's unbelievable. We've partnered also with Jewish Family Services, International Institute, Catholic Charities, Journey's End. We've also reached out to a lot of the politicians. We've got some great help from Kathy Hochul, from Tim Kennedy, Brian Higgins, Bill Conrad, who I don't know if most of you know, he's our assemblyman at Black Rock there. But everybody's been very, very helpful. But I also wanted to mention another thing. Yuri, in years gone by, and now people have picked up the torch, we have sent millions of dollars. Do you have a figure, Yuri, in medical supplies?
Well, so we spent maybe $500,000 in just the cost of transportation and logistics, but that's been able to leverage several $1 million worth of goods that actually were shipped. Mostly medical supplies, some supplies for
Personal protection.
personal protection. That's a good frame for the guys on the front. But mostly medical to assist with
We are at the Welcome Center, which is now a 501c3. It's the Ukrainian Welcome Foundation at 205 Military. We're open from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or by appointment. I'll leave a bunch of my business cards if anybody needs anything. It's my personal cell. Feel free to call at any time. I'm retired, yeah, okay. But this has turned into a full-time job. I want to thank a young lady, Dasha, from Jewish Family Services, who has helped us tremendously, along with the rest of her team, Dr. Molly Carr, and several others there. And I would also like to bring Judge Radwin up here to speak to her involvement and to the family that she is helping. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Rabbi Alex, thank you for your time, and thank you to the congregation, and God bless.
Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I am part of a welcoming circle that was formed by the descendants group of the Holocaust Resource Center. Everybody in our welcome circle is mostly 2G, a few 3G, whose parents and or grandparents were either survivors or refugees from the Nazis. We formed our circle and partnered with Jewish Family Services, and when we received word that the Dishlovi family was going to be settling in Buffalo, we were very excited to work with them to provide not just Judaica, but everything you need for a home. Jewish Family Services was able to actually partner with an Episcopal church in Williamsville that is renting its rectory to the Dishlovi family. So they are fortunate enough to be living in Williamsville, children attending Williamsville schools. Also, the two eldest children were incredibly generously given a full scholarship to Kadima Park School. And Anna is here today and would be happy to, I think she's waving now to everybody, answer questions. I really encourage everybody during, right after services, to speak to Dimitri and Valentina about the reality. A lot of their family is still in the Ukraine, including Valentina's mom and dad, and what it's like to experience leaving your country. They settled in Krakow for a little while, came here from Krakow, and when we greeted them, the leadership of our circle, along with Dr. Carr, on December 2nd, they each had one suitcase. And I can tell you personally, it's hard for me to pack for a 2-week vacation in one suitcase. How do you pack a life in one suitcase? Because that's what they were allowed, one suitcase each. Dimitri and Valentina have done an amazing, amazing job helping their children in school with Dimitri's mom. And Dimitri and Valentina are both starting new jobs. Valentina's already starting hers, and Dimitri will be starting his in about 10 days, and becoming real connected members of Buffalo. And the Buffalo Jewish community is so, so happy to have them as our friends. And I'm happy and honored that they are my friends. So I encourage you all to speak to them after services. Thank you.
What an important message right before Passover and the Easter season as well. But just that freedom, that message of the Passover Seder, that we can move from slavery to freedom, that sometimes in our lives we have to pick up everything and just have a suitcase. That story isn't from thousands of years ago. That's the story that's ongoing every day for some people. And how powerful to hear the work on our ground. Buffalo's been this is happening in cities across the country, of course, but Buffalo is particularly a welcoming community with a huge network of providers that work tirelessly to make sure that people are settled. We can only imagine how challenging that is. When we have the matzahs on our Passover plate, what's the reason? Because we only had that to bring. We didn't have time for anything else. We only had whatever we had with us. And we had to begin again in a new way. So I'm very proud to be here in this region that really does understand how important it is, how the refugees and immigrant communities enhance our overall community, the way Buffalo has thrived over the last 5 to 10 years because of our welcoming nature here. A lot of what we owe to those people that came here giving up everything to learn a new language and culture, to maybe relearn jobs and to make our way. And I love Judge Rodwin speaking about how this is a gift back to her parents, and that committee, including my wife is on the committee as well, this is their way of giving back. Because so many of them came with nothing, and so many of our members did. Maybe not yesterday, but in the early 90s, and 30, 40, 50 years ago, 70 years ago. All of our relatives, probably in this room, were in these refugee immigrant groups as well. So thank you, and definitely thank you to Jewish Family Services and to Mark and Yuri. You spoke from the heart. Yuri, I really heard your words. I know how deeply this matters to you and to us as well. We are not officially Ukrainian, but we feel the great pain that this is an unnecessary grievance. I was telling Mark, just at this time last year, we had the priest from the Ukrainian priest come. It was the 1 month of the war, and he said, "Let this be the last day of the war." It was very moving, and unfortunately, it was not. But we'll keep praying for that as we move forward. So we're going to go towards the end of our service. Aleinu, page 586. I invite you to rise as we say to one another, it's not enough to just pray. We need to go out and do the good work in this world.
Hallelujah, Shabbat, Ladon, Hakol, Latet, Gidula, Leoseh, Breshit, Shelo, Asanu, Ki'e, Haratzot, Velo, Samanu, Kimishpachot, Hadama, Shelo, Sam, Kelkedu, Kahem, Vegor, Aleinu, Kechol, Hamonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו You may be seated. On that day, we will all consider each other one. We will consider God one, our world one, and we will no longer be fighting with one another. I'd like to read a poem before I read the list of names. Sheila Bernard Tucker had sent me this beautiful poem last week, and I didn't have a chance to read it then, but I'd like to read it now. It's called My Memories of You. The birds all gathered by the pool calling to the morning sun. Spring is peeking through the clouds, the awakening has begun. The morning sun still warms the snow, but my warmth has lost its usual glow. It can't be time for the celebration. I check my calendar with great trepidation. My warmth has lost its usual glow. Can't face shopping alone this year. How I loved when you would go. How I loved when you would go. 2 wagons we needed. Side by side we'd wander and oh, so happily slow. Everyone stared as we refused to call them carts. My mother-daughter, typical New Yorkets. We wouldn't know where to start. We wouldn't know where to start. Your gefilte fish warmed my heart. I would look at you, you would laugh at the mess. You told everyone, hot charoset makes everything the best. It can't be time for Passover so soon. I still walk the aisles, deliberately slow, as if I'm waiting for you to catch up to me. Mother-daughter, Passover memories never will let go. I think it really showed how the memories, the names that are lit around our room, they're with us in our hearts. Our Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. This month, as a community, we're remembering Harvey Axelrod, Glorine Curtis, Mikhail Levin, Richard Meltzer, Paul Nemzer, Evelyn New, Jean Peck, and Cameron Stokes, all who died in the last month. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Fritz Bleichfeld, Max Brody, Lorraine Dweck, Joel Ehrenreich, William Elmy, Irving Fudeman, Fanny Galperin, Sanford Galernter, Marvin Goldberg, Mayor H. Gordon, Charles Hoffman, Richard Holland, Lieb Kaplan, Sadie Karnofsky, Joseph D. Klein, Mary Klein Katz, Ralph Kushner, Sidney Lifton, Ada Mesnikoff, Ida Michaels, Harriet Moulter Greenberg, Jenny Nieberg, Rita Olshan, William Olshan, Ethel R. Posner, Lillian Rosenthal, Rose Rubin, Edward Senecal, Mordach Shore, Violet Slepian, Louis Sohinki, Jerome Tokars, MD, and Howard Yud. If there's other names you'd like to say, please raise your hand. All those whose custom it is to rise, the Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad ivrach irite v'yamlik malchute, v'chayechon v'yamachon v'chayed echol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach leolam olmei almayah. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'rechu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'yimru amen Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen Oseh shalom v'yimru amav Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to Israel, to all the world, and we say amen. You may be seated. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite up Bruce Chorus again to offer the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Yuri. Thank you, Dimitri and Valentina, for being with us. Thank you, Dasha, for everything that you do. Dasha has spoken at this. Where did she leave? Did she go? Where'd Dasha go? Oh, Dasha actually spoke at one of our services a couple months ago, wasn't it? That she came and talked?
I think when I was in Israel.
Okay. So we are grateful that we as a congregation can do everything that we can for the families and here and over in Ukraine. We certainly feel what you're going through, and anything that we can do to help, we're glad to do that. And I know I'm not supposed to say welcome, because as I said, we just say welcome home, but welcome to Western New York. And we hope that, I know it's not your home yet, but it will be. And I know it can't replace your homeland, but it will be your home, and I think you'll feel very welcome here. There's a lot of, as the rabbi said, a lot of people here come from other countries and have made this place their home. I'm wondering, quick show of hands, how many people here either have parents or grandparents who came from another country? Yeah, pretty much everyone. So first generation, second generation immigrants, Americans, I should say. Anyway, thank you for being with us, and please come any Friday night that you would like. We're here for you, and you're welcome any Friday night to come to our services. Thank you to Sheila Bernard-Tucker and Mark Nightinger for helping out with the greeting this evening. Thank you to Sue Frank for stepping into the gift shop this evening for our Passover sale. We appreciate that. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Nick Stelzer for a lovely service. Cantor, I know you'll be back in full voice next week. It's not a coincidence that she got sick after the Purim spiel. That's not a coincidence. Tomorrow morning, virtual offering, Torah study at 9 a.m. via Zoom. Shabbat morning service is at 11. That's at Canterbury Woods this week. Thank you to everyone who joined us last Saturday night for Winterfest. What a great evening. What a wonderful evening it was. Thank you to Nancy McGorry for helping to organize the night. Save the date, Summerfest will be Saturday, July 15th. Community Religious School is closed this Sunday and next. It is spring break. All the little kids are heading down to Daytona Beach, and they're going to be carousing. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say thank you, Judge Rodwin, for joining us as well, too. Sorry about that. Thank you to everyone who either volunteered or purchased Chevettas. Chevettas is back now. We will be doing that again on Tuesday, April 18th. I mentioned earlier we have Passover coming up next week, this week I should say. We look forward to seeing those of you that have made your reservations at the joint Passover second night Seder with Temple Beth Zion. That is at Transit Valley Country Club Thursday night, 6 o'clock. Reservations are closed for that, so whoever did make your reservations, we look forward to seeing you there. Pittsburgh trip is coming up in June. It is officially a go. If you're still considering it, there are still a couple of seats available. Contact Nancy in the Temple office if you'd like to know more about that. We have all sorts of other upcoming events listed in the service leaflet. Please take it home with you. Julia's going to take it right home. She's going to put it on her refrigerator. It's going to be there, right?
It's already there.
It is already there. She actually already scanned it earlier. She's on top of things. If you need anything at all, please feel free to contact the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, Todd, or myself. We are always here for you. And please join us out in the hallway for an Oneg Shabbat right after services. Get a chance to schmooze and mingle. If you'd like to sponsor an Oneg for a special occasion, no occasion whatsoever, please talk to Joanne. She will be happy to bake cookies or whatever you want. Shabbat Shalom. Early happy. Oh, Jill, you have something?
April 15th, game night.
Oh, that's coming up? Okay, April 15th, the next Women of Shir Shalom game night. If you want to know more about that, talk to Jill, talk to Julia. Do not play cards with Julia. She is a shark. You do not want to. Anyway, that's Saturday. That's a Saturday night, right? Saturday, April 15th, Women of Shir Shalom game nights. They're always a lot of fun. No bunko this time, but that will be coming back at the night. But all sorts of other games. It'll be a lot of fun. What? Are you going to have mahjong? If people bring them, oh, you need to learn it. Andy wants to learn mahjong, so he's going to need some teaching. But he'll be good at it eventually. It's a long process because you're not a Jewish grandmother yet.
We had some 40-somethings playing it the other day.
Oh, I know. It's young. It's hip. Mahjong is the hip thing. Mahjong and pickleball are the two big things. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom. Happy Passover. And I'll see you out there at the Oneg.
I will say that we are participating on April 22nd, that's a Saturday afternoon, for Earth Day at Temple Beth Zion downtown. So there's a lot of houses of worship. that are part of the sponsorship, and it should be a really beautiful event. It starts at 2 and it goes till about 5:30, and about 4:15 there's going to be a service of healing in the sanctuary, and there will be all different types of ethnic groups and religions and creeds and anything you can imagine being represented within that service that starts at around 4:15, including us. And there'll be people from the Native American community and I believe a gospel choir and so much. Please join us Saturday afternoon, April 22nd at Temple Beth Zion downtown for Earth Day.
So we didn't begin the service with Hine Mato, but we are going to end the service with Hine Mato.
And it makes sense because we really do know each other, and we really are dwelling like brothers and sisters now that we know each other so much better.
And we got the two flags, right? That's like brothers and sisters together. Page 128.
We'll start together. Here we
You can
go.
use your flag.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, יא לה 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 יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Can I invite up Shauna and John just to lift our challah? There's a tradition of newlyweds, you're not quite there, but of using honey on it. So when you get to that moment, you can you're supposed to be able to use honey for a whole year. So it's a nice, sweet tradition. And when you uncover the challah, oh, look how beautiful it is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You can take a piece if you want. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer books, your sidurim, to the front minus the leaflet,
Take it
and
home
join us
with
for the
you.
oneg.
No.
Shabbat shalom.